Yo, what's going on, YouTube family? It's your man Jeremy Doodoo here, and I'm super excited today to talk to you guys about a topic I'm really passionate about that I feel like is gonna really help you out if you're starting on a design project. Storyboarding is a powerful tool that you can use when you're starting a design project so you can understand the challenge that you're trying to solve when you're building out an app or a web application. And it's also a tool that animators and novelists use when they're creating stories that we see on the big screen or when we're reading through a book. And the reason I wanted to talk about it is because I feel like there's not a lot of designers that do storyboarding, right? And we focus so much on the high fidelity mock-up, sometimes we can get lost in the sauce and not really understand what are we trying to do. We're making something look pretty, but what's the story that we're trying to say, and what are we trying to communicate through what we design, right? So let's get into it. So if you're unfamiliar with how a storyboard might look, this is one example from the creators that created that created Toy Story. But here you see Woody looking down in a hole, and he sees some money bags on the side of that hole, and he's like, "What is going on here?" And he sees that Mr. Potato Head is coming out of the hole, and Mr. Potato Head is in shock, and Woody's like, "I caught you in the act," right? And Mr. Potato Head's wife is protecting her man, and you get the point. But basically, storyboards set the scene screen by screen, and it helps creatives get on the same page and align on the story that they're trying to tell, right? And I do this as a UX designer a lot of times when I feel like my team might be out of alignment or we're not sure about why we're building something. This gives us the answer to our why, right? We start to empathize and see the stories of the people that we're trying to build stuff for. And this is a good example. I just wanted to get you guys familiar with what that might look like if you've never seen one. And before we get into more storyboards, let's just take a step back and look at society, right? We see stories all around us. If you open up your Facebook or your Instagram or your Snapchat, you'll see how people are socially engineering us to have a perception of what they want us to see about their lives, right? I remember I went to the club 5 or 6 years ago with my wife. It was one of the last time I stepped into a club, and there was some girls sitting down bored, and they were looking on their phones, and then they start filming themselves on Snapchat, turning up in the moment for that 30 seconds, and then after they filmed that, they were just like, man, they got back to their phones looking bored. And you know, that's just the world that we live in nowadays. I know I'm ranting like an old dude, but I remember back in my day, we used to turn up for real. But stories are super powerful, right? One of the greatest storytellers of all time is Tupac Shakur. He's been dead for over 20 years, but at the same time, the stories that he told influenced generations of people. It lifted a genre to where it is today, hip hop, right? It influenced an entire culture, and it just feels like the stories that he told have shifted culture. One of the shows that I got into recently is called The Circle. I don't watch TV a lot. Fun fact about myself, but one day I was laying in bed with my wife, and she put on Netflix. We started watching the show, and I got really intrigued because it really just reminded me of how we just frame our perceptions for financial motivations now, right? And I really got into this show because I was interested in the psychology of how we all think about each other in online platforms. And if you're still not convinced about the power of stories, let's just look at the writing on the walls, that the hieroglyphics that were left behind from the Egyptians, right? Like, Egyptians formed social structures based off the stories that they told the people in their societies, right? Like, this is what you should value. These are the rules that you should follow, right? The writing is on the walls. And my question to you is, why wouldn't we use the power of stories when we're designing products. If this is something that has been around for thousands of years, right? We don't need Figma or or a tool like Sketch to really get started. Right? We could get started wherever we are if we just pull out a piece of paper and a pen and just start telling that story to ourselves, right? That can become the foundation of whatever beautiful thing we come up with, right? But we don't have to get started in these digital tools that we have nowadays. And a lot of times that can be harmful to start there. And if you're still not convinced about the power of stories, just look at a show like HDTV, right? You'll see on there how people are spending enormous amounts of money on houses that they probably can't afford, right? Because of the stories that realtor might tell them, right? Um, a realtor will walk in the house, beautiful home, 3 bedroom house, 2 bedroom bath. They walk in the kitchen, and the realtor's like, "Look at these granite countertops." Now, all of a sudden, this guy's got a smile on his face because his wife is happy that they got granite countertops. So they're going to put down a lot of money on a house just for those countertops, right? The power of story, y'all. And this is just an example of a little storyboard that I mocked up. I think it was last year when I was working on a project. But here you see that these people work at Budweiser, and he pulls out his phone. He's looking at the app, and it's the holidays, by the way. And he's searching for something to donate to, but he's not really sure. He's into animals, he's into working out, he's into education. He's not sure what he wants to donate to this year. And this application, y'all, is I should give you a little context. Is based on the fact that you can donate or volunteer your time at any nonprofit that you're searching for, right? So he puts in a topic like hungry cats in Milwaukee, and he sees that there are nonprofits related to food. He sees that there are nonprofits in New Orleans. He's like, I went to New Orleans back in 2013 for Mardi Gras, but I know nothing about New Orleans. Why am I seeing these nonprofits? I don't want to donate to these places. I want to donate to something local in my neighborhood. And so he puts in hungry farm animals in Milwaukee, and he gets no results. So he's like, you know what? I'm tired of going through this. I'm going to go home and watch my Indiana Jones movie and sit by the fireplace. So the reason that I mocked this up is because, and I just wanted to tell this story to the team that I was working with so they can understand the challenge that we were trying to solve, and so we could align on some ideas that could solve some of those challenges, right? It's not all just about the technology or mocks. It can oftentimes be like, what problem are we trying to solve here? And this is just a little mock-up that I did, a little storyboard walkthrough that I did of myself, of what I imagine my experience to be like whenever I go to Jamaica, whenever I can make it out there. But it's one of my dream vacations to go on. But I would imagine myself to be walking down the street and seeing some plants and fruits and vegetables that are growing on the roads and in people's backyards. And I'm going to pick up one of those fruits and be like, yo, is this edible or is it poisonous? And if there is not an app that can tell me if that fruit is edible or poisonous, I'm going to have to do something. And I think that something might be that I will talk to a Rasta man, and I will try to gain some wisdom from him on whether this thing that I'm looking at that's beautiful is poisonous or edible, right? And he might be so zen out of his mind that he might not give me the answer to my question. So the next best thing that I'll do is go back to my Airbnb and Google red plants all over Ocho Rios, Jamaica, right? And if I don't get the answers there, then I'm going to call one of my good friends who's Jamaican named Renee and ask her, yo, what's up with these red fruits all over the place? I see them growing everywhere. Can I eat this? Is it poisonous? Yes or no? And if she doesn't give me the answer, then I'm going to eat it anyway because I'm a foodie and I'm a big fruitarian. So I'm going to try it because it looks delicious. And, you know, that'll be the end of the story. But I'm showing you guys this to just have some fun, um, and also help you see that storyboards can help you understand, this is where the challenge is going to come when somebody hits that moment, and what might they do if they don't have anything that gives them the answer to their problem, right? And I'm going scene by scene. um, right, so I hope that showing you guys these storyboards will challenge you to do your own storyboard if you're stuck on coming up with ideas right now, or you're not really sure about where to start with the project, right? One of the apps that I would love to use that I haven't downloaded yet, I've heard of different apps that are out there, is an app that can tell me about plants that I love, or whenever I'm walking down the street, right? So whenever I go to botanical gardens, oftentimes with my family, I'll see plants in that garden that I might want to bring home if I can find it in a retail store, right? So I wish that I would just take out my phone, take a picture of that plant, and then it'll give me information on that plant that I want to buy. So if you guys like this video, you already know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe. I hope that this really gets you moving in the right direction if you were stuck on a project and not really sure about where to start, because storyboards, they are helpful, but they're also fun to do when we're not feeling creative, right? So hope you guys are doing well. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.